All right, welcome back everyone. So this is the daily trading recap. This will be the recap for the 11th, and so this will be yesterday's trading day. Again, as I said in the other videos, it's a little bit challenging for me to do a recap the day of, and so I will be posting these the following day, just taking a look at what we did as far as the small account challenge goes. And so about a month ago, I decided to develop a strategy to trade basic options of the S&P 500 and only the S&P 500. And I've been doing that for about a month and a half now. And this is our current P&L of that account. And so we're up almost 160% at the moment. And so doing rather well. You see that we made some nice gains. Nasty little fall right here, but then we're slowly working our way back up out of it. Days like that are going to happen. You can't have winners every single day. The trick is to try to minimize those days and make them the least drawdown as possible. And so here we are. We started the day off like usual. This is our Patreon only Discord channel here on our Discord server. Wonderful information here. There's a link down in the description below to join it. But again, we started our day off with Sasquatch doing his usual market analysis of Forex. And so some wonderful Forex market analysis first thing in the morning, real early, giving some great, wonderful information. And let's see here. I don't think we got anything from Jay this morning. Jay is our admin. He trades futures and he will post his analysis and stuff in the Patreon only channel as well as just some general advice. Again, it's a wonderful environment to be in. It doesn't cost hardly anything at all. It's an absolute steal to join it at this price. We might increase the price one day, but currently this is where we set with it. And so day started off again like usual right about 9:30. Gave the good morning post to everybody there. Let's go ahead and jump over to the S&P 500 chart right here. This is today's trading session. These colors here, the blue and the tan, are pre-market and after-market trading. And the colors here, the colored lines running horizontal across the screen, there are areas of support and resistance that I've marked out. And we started the day with a nice gap up here. And so it wasn't quite like yesterday where we had this monster gap up, but it was definitely a gap up, and it gapped us up kind of out of this zone right here, this purple zone that had been, in my opinion, kind of keeping us down just a little bit, and started to push us up towards this green zone right here, which definitely was going to act as some overhead resistance there as the day played out, as I suspected it might. And so at open, you can see price just kind of dumped down just a little bit there and started to work its way back up. Generally, I try to avoid trading within the first 15 to 20-30 minutes of the day, especially the first 15 minutes, because things are just so unpredictable and wild in those first 15 minutes. There are some people that can do it, and if you can do it, hey, more power to you. But the name of the game is to be consistent and not take basically a gambler's position in the market. And I feel like the best way for me to do that is to avoid that craziness of the beginning and most of the craziness at the end of the day, what they call the power hour. And so like I said, price spiked down right here, and I was watching it, keeping an eye on it as it started to pin bar down here at the bottom of this area right here, started to work its way back up. I was definitely watching very closely here as it broke up above the high of this candle right here, the open candle right there. And as it did that, I went ahead and jumped on a call position. So calls are basically longs. If you don't know kind of option lingo, jumped on 3 calls, and we very quickly started to kind of pull back here. What I wanted was a break right here, the break of this high of this candle, and a really nice push to the upside and continuation. But what we got was a spike up in green, which was very Very happy to see that immediately, and I thought, oh, here we go, we're going to take off. But then it's kind of ate up all that area. It ate up that spike as it pushed back down and ended that candle right there in red. Started to get a tad bit worried about where this was going to go, see if we were going to get whipped and dropped right back out. But fortunately, it did start to climb its way back up out of here. Kept coming up, hitting this area and wicking down, hitting, wicking down, hitting, wicking down. And so I was getting a little bit concerned on whether or not this is actually going to be able to make the push that I was hoping it was. And so as it pushed up here, I think on this candle right here, if I'm not mistaken, is when I went ahead and hit my first take profit. Again, I called this out in the channel as I was doing it live. So you see here at 9:48, I said that I was jumping on some calls right there. I gave my first take profit was around 423.60-ish, around in that area. But again, as it kept hesitating, as it popped up and would drop down, pop up and drop down. When it popped up again right here into the 50s, I went ahead and dumped one contract of the 3. And so I said right here that I didn't like the way price was stalling out. Wasn't looking too great right there, or at least I just wanted to reduce some risk. It wasn't looking horrible, but also wasn't looking wonderful. Definitely wanted this thing to take off. And so dumped that one contract, and then we got that nice spike that I was hoping to get right there. And we ran this up really nicely there, and I was hoping that we were going to go ahead and keep pushing higher and higher on the day. But as we pushed up right here and we got this nasty wick to the upside and this real strong pullback, I thought, yeah, we might not get that push that I'm looking for. But then it curled up right here and started to make a push again. And I thought, hey, we might actually break that level and take off like I first anticipated. But it wasn't in the cards. First, we got that spike down with that long tail, and it started to sell off really hard. And as it did, came down right here, hit this level right here where we had that resistance at the open, and as it pulled up, rejected it one more time, and we actually got a gap down in this candle right here. As it gapped down and that candle open, started to show just a tad bit of red, went ahead and pulled the trigger on some puts, and so those are short positions, and it drove down really nicely, really fast with a nice quick reaction. And as it did, went ahead and took the first take profit. See right here, I said that I closed the rest of that was my longs there, and I said that I was watching for another entry. And you see here at 11:04, I said that I was going to jump on these puts. I don't think I actually called it out as puts. My mistake. Interesting. I thought I had called it out as puts, but apparently I didn't. Anyways, those were a put position that I posted right there. You can see in the screenshot there. I don't know if it said puts or not actually on that screenshot. That's unfortunate. I'll have to make sure that I'm more mindful of that. Anyways, jumped on some puts right there. I said that my take profit was 422.80-ish was my first take profit, and almost immediately it punched down through that level. I actually jumped right at the open of this candle, so I rode this candle down, and as it did, I hit the first take profit and continued to ride it down and ride it down. It came here, kind of bottomed out right here, made a double bottom basically, and started to push its way back up. And as it did, I went ahead and offloaded the rest of the position for a nice little profit. Was looking good so far for the day. We came up right here, and I almost pulled the trigger on a call position, a long position, but I didn't like the way that we were running right into the open of the day, which was right here. We had barely any room. Right here was where I was looking at jumping on some calls. We had barely any room before we hit the open, and the way we hesitated and had all this kind of selling pressure and the spike down right here, I was a little hesitant to take a position against the short of the day. And so as it popped up right here, I had my finger on the trigger to buy some calls, but I just kind of watched to see what it was going to do right here. And as this candle right here closed and this one opened, it immediately spiked back down in red, and I took that as a sign that maybe I should just wait out these calls and not jump on a position. It came down a little bit, spiked up right here. I had my finger again on the trigger, sitting there watching waiting, seeing what was going to happen, and immediately it spiked back down. And at that point I was like, yeah, you know, I'm just not feeling this price action. I don't like the way they keep spiking it down every time it gets close to this area. And so I'm just going to hold off on this one. If it takes off without me, it takes off without me. That just happens sometimes. But it spiked up right here, and you can see right as it hit literally right at the open, it immediately started to sell off, and it sold off really quick and really fast there. And as it did, I went ahead and jumped on some puts again. Once again, I called these out. Actually called it out right there. I said puts. My first take profit was at 421.55, and so I jumped on it there. Had a slight bit of hesitation, and then we finally got that nice little drop right there, and it came down and got us to our first take profit. And I just continued to ride this out for the rest of the day as it pushed down. Found a little bit of level here, a little bit of support, kind of bounced a little bit, but then made a gnarly big red candle right there. Gnarly, where'd that come from? Anyways, nice big red candle right there, really making those strong pushes down. And I was hoping right here, as we made this push up and rejected back down into this area, that we would push down even further in the last hour of the day, but it just wasn't in the cards once again, as we just kind of started riding sideways. And I think right here on this candle is one that I finally dumped it on. As it started to push up right here, I said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this position, and I'm going to leave the day with a nice, happy, green, decent day in the books. And so you can see here that right at 3:34, I called that I closed the last two contracts that I had. And so that would have been, yep, right here on this candle right there, basically at the end of the day. And so I rode that out for a nice long trade. And that put us up in the green for $467 on the day. A really nice, decent gain for the account. Definitely eating up some of those bad days that we had last week. Hopefully we can continue this momentum. We can keep our bad days on the low side and our good days on the high side, and we could spike back up above that area that we were at last week. We only have a couple $100 to get above that before we get above that area, and then continue to push up even higher from there. So all in all, everything's looking really good. Sasquatch, once again, a beast, as the name implies, just throwing out these trade analysis left and right. Some wonderful, wonderful information. Again, if you're not part of the Patreon only channel, I highly recommend that you join it. It is some wonderful stuff, lots of information, lots of knowledge in there for everyone to see. Live trades going on and live analysis. All in all, Chester even jumped in on today. Don't see a lot of analysis from Chester, but every now and then they'll get on there and throw something in as well. So that just goes to show that we have a wonderful community of people who are willing to give advice and trade analysis. So that's it for the day. I'm going to call the video here. I will see everybody on the next video.